What's going on?
All right. So you guys are in violation of city ordinance. We got a couple things we need to talk about, okay?
We're in violation right now.
Technically you are, yes. So
What are we doing?
number one, you're obstructing the sidewalk with your things. That's the violation. Okay? You can't set up anything on a sidewalk or thoroughfare and anywhere in the state of Texas, period. So sidewalks, roadways, alleyways, anything like that. So having all your stuff out here.
He's just wheeled this by. Hold on a second so you know what's going on. He just wheeled this by. He's on the move right now. He's not with us. Just so you like, hi, I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
How's it going?
Instead of interrupting me, how about you just let me finish,
Well,
okay?
I'm just letting you know.
So that is the violation I could technically arrest for because it is not a citable offense. It's an arrestable offense, okay?
We're out here expressing ourselves under the First Amendment personally. I just want you to know
So do you want to keep interrupting me or you want me to finish?
You can finish.
Okay, because the next time you interrupt me, I'm going to put you in handcuffs. Are we on the same page? All right. So the other thing is, you obviously have musical instruments. You have drums, guitars, amps, things like that. City ordinance for our sound, which I'm one of the sound enforcement officers down here, is you can't play any music in the public area that is adjacent to any business. So that would be all of downtown, okay? After 10 o'clock for any amplified music and 10:30 for any non-amplified, okay? That would be like guitars and drums and things like that. Perfectly welcome to busk, play music and or use amplifiers under 85 decibels up to that 10 p.m. line, but anything past 10 p.m. would be an automatic violation, okay? The other thing is you cannot set up any type of displays on our public thoroughfares like sidewalks. That is also obstruction. And so you've got to take all this off the sidewalk and pack it up, and that is what I'm asking you to do tonight, okay? I obviously didn't hear you play music. I got reports that you guys were playing music. Obviously it's well past 10 o'clock. It's midnight right now, right? So if you were playing music, you would have gotten a citation if I showed up, okay?
Were they good reports?
Nope. Nope. You're violating the law by playing music after 10 o'clock, okay?
I thought it sounded pretty good.
Any questions?
You said after 10:30 that even non-amplified music is not allowed out here?
Yes, sir. So our sound ordinance, 923, if you want to look it up, it states that if you're adjacent to any business, these are all businesses, right? In a public thoroughfare, you cannot play any music after 10:30, period. And then when it comes down to amplified music, that's 10 p.m. And then the limit is 85 decibels at any time.
I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, some of these bars are just absolutely using insane sound systems that you can hear from like 2 blocks away.
I agree, yeah.
So where is the sound violation in that?
So, like I said, I'm one of the sound enforcement officers, okay? The bars actually have a special outdoor music venue permit that they are allowed to get as a business. You cannot get that as a busker. You can't get a permit.
They have an outdoor music
It's called an outdoor music venue permit.
Even if the music is happening inside the establishment?
Again, you guys kind of just keep interrupting me when I'm trying to answer your question. So it's an outdoor music venue permit. That's what the permit is called, okay? It allows them to play music up to 85 decibels until 2 a.m. And we regulate that. I use a sound meter as well as obviously I'm an expert in their permits, okay? I know what bars have what permits at what time and what decibel limits they are allowed to play citywide, right?
Okay.
So I manage that from an officer standpoint, and trust me, bars get citations quite a bit, okay? Because they push that line on sound. But that is managed by the police department, and then we also have a sound team that comes out as well to our bar districts, right? But as somebody that is considered a busker, somebody that is not a business owner, that is out on the public thoroughfare, it is illegal to play music past 10 o'clock amplified, 10:30 non-amplified. You can never set up on a sidewalk or adjacent thoroughfare anywhere in the state of Texas, period. That is called obstruction. It's obstructing a passageway. That's a state law. And that is, like I said, an arrestable offense. There is no ticket for that. It's a Class B misdemeanor. You can serve up to 6 months in jail.
So what if there's enough of an ample thoroughway for people to pass through?
As long as you're not set up on a sidewalk. So sometimes I'll work with people.
How do you set up? Sorry to interject again. How do you set up on the sidewalk if you can't set up
You
on the
can't
sidewalk?
set up on a sidewalk. So I'll give you an example. See where the trees are right there?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That is basically called easement. You see where the sidewalk is right here, this line, right? So if you draw a line to that tree, if you were to set up between the roadway and that tree, you're on an easement. And so if you didn't obviously enter the roadway or block the sidewalk and you wanted to set up there during the daytime, for example, and play music under 85 decibels until 10 p.m., all power to you, no problem. I support it because as a sound enforcement officer, as long as you're following the laws and somebody complains on you, I'll go deal with that complaint and tell them, hey, it's perfectly legal until this time or whatever, right?
So
as long as you're set up properly.
That's the thing, is the sidewalk, except for the umbrella, I guess he's a little bit out.
Yeah. So your drums are set up on the sidewalk, your umbrella's on the sidewalk, your artwork's on the sidewalk.
But didn't you just say that the line right there
That's the
is
thing, we were
line.
like, this post is here and stuff.
Sidewalk, line. So like the
So as
tree
far
would be
as
the limit.
putting something on a sidewalk, like for instance, people have strollers and things down here. Now you could like push a stroller up and like just leave it on a sidewalk. That's not a violation, right? So
I mean,
like,
if they obstructed the sidewalk, that'd be a violation, yeah.
well, but
People
people.
standing shoulder to shoulder blocking a sidewalk.
Well,
would be
not
a
blocking.
violation.
I'm just mean if we like pushed a stroller. I mean, you came up and said he was in violation of leaving a rolling thing.
I was
here,
talking
so-
about all of you guys, and then you interrupted me and started saying, "Well, he's not with us." Like that's some type of excuse. You're not even listening.
Well, I
to
wasn't
something
quite
yet.
finished. I was trying to make a point about we want to know specifically because it's like when it comes to setting things down, when you say set up, because like what we are doing is like we're personally expressing ourselves. We're not a venue. Like we're out here personally expressing ourselves. You do recognize there's like a difference between personal expression and businesses and things like that, right?
That doesn't make any difference whatsoever. All I see is instruments and items blocking the sidewalk. What your intention is your right. I don't care. That's nothing to do with me. I don't care what your music's about. I don't care what you say when you sing, right?
Right.
That is freedom of speech. I have no issue with that. You cannot block a sidewalk.
But we're not blocking the sidewalk. No one's not able
Your
to
drums
walk.
are set up on the sidewalk.
But we're, like,
So I'm not going to argue with you. I'm asking you
I just
to
don't
take
see how
it
that's
down.
blocking. Well, we are
And
done now anyway.
I'll give you 10 minutes to take it down.
Well, we were done anyway, so I'd like to point that out. I don't,
I understand that you want to just keep talking and want to get your point across.
No, I wanna
am
understand
trying to
what's going on.
de-escalate with y'all and give you a chance to comply.
We're totally de-escalating.
But if you don't want to comply, I'll just
We're
start
breaking
writing
down. I'm
tickets.
telling you that already. But we were already
I'll give
breaking
you
down
10
when you
minutes,
walked
guys.
up.
10 minutes.
It might take longer than that. This is a lot of this is.
It's not about being offended, sir. It's just about breaking the law. Why would that matter? That's a personal issue between yourself. I can't help you with that. You guys have
If there's a business that's giving a complaint, I'd like to know who it is so I can talk to them. Maybe apologize or something else.
There's not.
Oh, well, he said that there was
It probably was.
Is it possible that you could tell us who
I'm unaware of it, but he may be aware. I'm not.
Hey, real quick, he gave you 10 minutes and y'all aren't picking up. You can talk and pick up at the same time, okay?
It's going to take longer than 10 minutes, I'll tell you that. If you come back,
I guess you better hurry, man.
But if you're making a reasonable effort, I think yeah.
know more about the law? I'd like you to help me understand.
Yeah.
When we finish tracking stuff up, I would like you to explain to me what it is that I do.
Okay.
How I perform it, what it is.
Okay. That sounds fair. Yeah. That sounds fair.
good day to be in America.
I would rather you guys know what you can and can't do. That way we can set up, find a location where you can do it legally. You can do whatever you find there.
This seems fine. I mean, that's the thing. When you say we're like trying to be honest to people, we're not blocking. That's what. No, it's not. Everyone, no one's like, I can't walk down here because this is here. That's what blocking means. No, it's just here. It's just my personal belongings.
Okay, well that again, that's your opinion.
It is. Well, it's the facts. No one's like, I can't get through.
That's not facts.
Well, no one's saying they can't get through.
I would respectfully argue with you that we disagree about the facts.
What's block mean?
To make it partially impassable.
Partially impassable, but it's completely impassable.
That's fine.
I just don't understand
Not
that law.
right here. It's not
Yes.
like see.
Well, right, but I can put my personal belongings down for like a bit on the sidewalk. Like,
Sure.
that's not illegal, so that's what I'm saying about the block. I just don't
Sure, but,
understand the block.
but how long has this been down?
Well, no one's said it's a problem. Is the point?
We don't need
blocking.
it, but we don't need it.
But I don't understand why it becomes a problem just because, like, you can have, dude, people have, like, tents and shit all around. Like, you know, there's people with stuff on the sidewalk. That's why I don't understand the law.
We agree with Joe. Sometimes people have.
Because the thing is, it's like, honestly, when we come down, we do try to, like, push it and make people are conscious of that. I'm not just like,
To me, it looks like you made an effort to not be so opposing.
we did. Thank you for recognizing that. 'Cause we're like, we don't come down for
Right, right. But what I'm saying is the officers still have an obligation.
I don't know if you've broken down a drum set before, but it does take a minute. So.
I'm actually a drummer, and I know exactly how long it takes. It takes less than 10 minutes.
Like it's only 300 pieces. Like to me, a time is
Well, if he would stop arguing with us, it'd be a lot faster.
Well, he's trying to get answers because like there is a constitutionality. All right.
So, listen, we're not having a conversation. Just pick up the stuff. You guys, hopefully,
I can
you
talk
have
to
6
you.
minutes left.
Well,
Otherwise, we're not going to handcuffs.
but we have a lot of experience in constitution
ordinances that get passed in a lot of different cities and municipalities and powers try to say.
No problem, but you still need to comply.
So you need to argue that after you get the ticket. It's not going to matter
Yeah,
here.
and we have
The
gone
more you're
forward.
talking, the less you're working. So you're just saying every time you're like 10 minutes isn't enough. Well, it's because you're wasting time arguing.
Well,
Argue
because
after you get
I'm
the
trying
ticket.
to speak to the people in which we
You're not
don't
trying to
work.
understand. You're trying to
We're giving you that
argue.
compliance order, okay?
Thank you, and I appreciate
Giving you a lot of
It's like, we're not trying to, like, I'm not, like, I love, I don't like it,
I said I'm finally out here.
I think it is a little ironic, but for some reason,
yeah, well, I'd like to know why. And we probably will need to go to court to talk about the song series. I think it's too far. I think it's unnecessary.
It's all of a sudden legal in 30 seconds. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know how to do it.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, look here, I figured what I'm saying.
Check it out, it's our federal budget. This is our federal discretionary budget. 50.4% defense. That's pretty solid, ain't it?
Yeah, 5 more minutes, guys.
Okay. You're fun, aren't you? We're members of the community. It's like, would be nice if you just gave us a little bit more friendly respect, because we're really not criminals or doing anything that's really that big of an issue, and you're really just being kind of harsh, it seems like, unnecessarily. You in particular. This gentleman was able to just be courteous with me, and you haven't said anything, but like,
Sir, the more you're talking,
I would
the less you're
appreciate,
actually picking up.
you know,
And I gave you 10
still,
minutes.
that's fine, and I'm expressing
reasonable
myself
amount of
still.
time. That's
You're going to
fine.
keep interrupting
You
me?
wanna
I'm
waste
trying to
your 10
say
minutes,
something
that's
as a
up to you.
citizen of the community, and I'd like a little bit more respect from you, honestly. You seem very disrespectful, and we're just out here as people, So it'd just be nice, because I'll be nice to you guys if
Yeah,
you're
right.
cool with us. Dude, why don't we pull everything back so that maybe it's past this line so we can stop being so worried? Is there anything out of all this that is like that you're maybe the most concerned with? Is it the drum?
Yeah, I mean, the drum sets need to go, and then the paintings on the sidewalk as well. They get that moved.
you guys ever read 1984? Or maybe A Brave New World?
Yes, sir. So technically, no. So that's not the sports. So again, that's what I was talking about.
Is this your band?
It is.
Like
Right.
In a downtown area, especially non-residential,
You wanna hold this?
to me that does not make
Yeah.
sense. It's an illogical and unnecessarily restrictive law.
You don't have to agree
which
with it.
does be. Oh, I don't, and I'm letting you know. Like, just you don't have to agree with me, but like truly, that doesn't really make sense, and that seems unnecessarily restrictive. And laws that are designed to restrict First Amendment rights are supposed to be quote unquote narrowly tailored. And I know that from going to court, and that seems incredibly broad. And to say that you just can't play an instrument, period, seems like a wild overreach by the city council or whoever passed this law. So while I know that you're just charged with upholding this and enforcing it, I will say to me it is bananas. And on a human level, to think about what you're doing in your own conversations with the department. In other words, you've had issues with people telling you, our First Amendment rights seem to be being violated by saying we can't even play music at all. Because we were going to play djembes out here. We've been coming out and playing djembes after shutting down our amplified music a little early. We've been out here a bunch of weeks. We've never had an issue. And we were going to play djembes. And the idea that to just play a djembe now, while there's all this other music going on, there's probably over 85 decibels as well. I'm not an illogical or combative person. This is fundamentally not necessary to maintain public health and safety, which is what these laws are supposed to be about. So I have a real problem with that. And right now I don't want to deal with getting a court date or a ticket, and so I've chosen to go ahead with this. But I do intend on going further with getting this law removed so that people can express themselves a little bit more freely out here, because that is what this country was supposed to have right in the first place, with some freedom of expression stuff, as long as people aren't being heard. And you guys have sworn an oath to uphold our personal civil rights and First Amendment protections, correct? You're sworn officer,
I don't think
right?
you have a right to have a breach of peace and play music anytime you feel like it, just because you don't agree.
It's not a breach of peace. I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying just to
the
play
laws
music.
are in place for a reason.
Do you think just playing music is a breach of the peace inherently?
If you do it where it's obviously disorderly, yes.
If I
And
play
so the city
quieter-
has made stipulations in saying that to this time and
understand.
up to this amp or this decibel limit, It is a breach of peace.
And
right?
after
That's what they're
10:30, we
saying.
can't play music at all. Even though people are down here playing music all over the place. People
So
can
they
play
have
music
special
out of their.
permits?
People can play just car stereos. There's all. Yes, they can. Of course,
That's
people
against
can.
the law as well.
Well, that's also ridiculous.
Okay,
You know,
so
that's ridiculous.
But here's the thing: this isn't a debate. What you think's ridiculous? We're
Well,
law
it's a
enforcement
conversation.
officers.
No, I'm not trying
But
to say
it's
this
not a
should- I'm
conversation
not
we
saying-
are asking to have.
I understand.
You are volunteering the
No, I'm
information.
communicating to the human beyond your badge right now because I know you're a logical human
Yeah,
in
but
there as
that's
well.
fine.
That's what this was.
But
I know I'm not debating
But
you.
we
about-
also have other things we got to go do, and we're
Well, I
just
would
waiting
think
for
so.
you guys to
like
back
actual
up so
crime.
we can go.
Well, we're not
Okay?
in violation of the law anymore.
Right,
Is that
I
right?
understand.
So we're
Yes.
good. We're just going to leave that there for a minute and like rest because we just had to throw all our shit in there super fast so that you didn't.
So
come
is there
down
any
on us with the
confusion
ticket.
of the ordinances
Yes.
so that going forward you don't have a violation?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If y'all need to go, can one of you stay so that we
I'll
can?
stay.
Okay.
Now, you're getting probably the second person that knows the law the least. This officer knows the
Okay.
knows the
Do you have
ordinances.
a question about an ordinance?
I do have a question about an ordinance.
Okay,
So you
ask your
can
question.
you can get a business permit to play as a business, right?
A business can get an outdoor music venue permit. They have to
Okay.
apply through the city.
Are we not considered to be a business?
No, we're not a business.
No, I mean, well, just by the legal
No.
sense, we're an organization. We have a
No,
message.
you are not a business. You got to actually be a brick and mortar building.
So we have to be property owners.
Have a brick and mortar building.
Okay, so we
within
can't-
that
And then
bar
they get
district.
extra rights.
We can't get the
That's
permit
also
without owning
crazy.
property. So we have to have the deed to a property to get a permit to make music.
I'm not the county, so I can't talk about deeds.
Okay.
But the permit office with the city that actually issues the outdoor music
But
venue
it
permit
issues
will
it to the
only
property
give it-
owner?
Will only give it to a commercial business.
So you have to be a
So you
property.
can't even get one in like a residential house. You can't get one.
Or just as
Okay.
an individual.
But
Or
I
an
mean,
individual.
Well, then now you're answering it. You're saying you can't get one as an individual, so that is a real problem because we're supposed to have equal protection under the law.
we want to
You don't
participate.
get to just make up laws.
I'm not making it up.
and then
I'm using
say-
actually court precedent.
Well, I want you to. I
I'm
want
not
you
making
to.
it up though. Let's not, you know.
So how would we go about getting a permit?
You'd have to
for something?
incorporate yourself into
So we'd
I don't
have
want to say
to.
legitimate into a.
So we'd have to
legal
have a
business.
property, and that property would have to have a commercial license. Is what we
Yes.
need? Okay.
Interesting.
And then
So we don't have rights is basically the deal.
I'll be frank with you.
Yeah.
I work about 2 blocks down. That's where normally I'm set up. And there is an outdoor, like think of this place. There's a patio, right? And it is fucking loud, right? And I can't hear the radio, and these things are stuffed in my ears. Now I may have some old hearing, but it's still loud, right? And the problem is they're kind of doing this gray area of trying to get around the ordinances and stuff like that, right? And it's fucking loud,
How are
right?
they getting around it? I don't understand.
Because we have to take a reading from about 6 feet from the property line, right? So if I walk up to 6 feet and I hold this meter even up like this, it could be really fucking loud up there. That meter is going to read about 85 or below. And I guarantee you, if I stuck it up on a pole, it's going to be 100.
Oh shit.
It's just the dynamics of the architecture, so to speak, you know, and the way that sound comes off. And I'm standing there, and
Sound is
every
gonna
night I
reflect.
argue with the bar owner, just turn it down some. Like he argues that he wants to have music for the patrons of the bar, which makes total sense to me. But and I told him, I said, your music could probably still be that loud. You put 50 people up there, they're all talking. Now the music's, I can't tell the difference between the talking and the music. You can probably get away with it. But if he plays it that loud when there's nobody up there, and I'm like I literally can't hear down here, and I'm just asking him to meet me in the middle, and he's unreasonable. Now, but that's not saying that's what you guys would be. I'm just saying that's other things that we have to deal with when it comes to sound. And that's one of those kind of gray areas. Like we put a meter, and that's why I know, because we metered him a ton, and that's why I know, like for instance, this over here is not over 85, and if I went over there, it's not gonna be.
Well, we weren't much louder than that, if anything, and that's
You know,
that's the thing. I mean, whatever.
And the other officer, he goes around every night. Well, not every night. Most nights with his meter, and goes around and reads sound, and we're just looking for compliance. These bars refuse to comply.
So what happens
Some-
with them? They just get tickets and pay them.
They get citations and they pay them. Yes.
So that you don't take them to jail. Like he threatened to put me in handcuffs.
Sometimes they do, because they refuse to identify themselves, and then they'll go to jail.
All right.
And then also,
he didn't make that qualification. He just said if I started playing music, he was going to put me in handcuffs. So it's like that's interesting.
Again, the law, the way Texas law is, it is a arrestable offense, so you could be taken to jail. We like to take the least intrusive method to get you to comply, right? So if I ask you, hey, would you move your stuff over? And you're like, sure, you move it over, then it's all good. If you're like, no, then I'm like, okay, well, me just asking you didn't work, so now maybe I write a citation. So let's say I go to write a citation, and you're like, well, I'm not paying that thing, and I'm still not moving my leg. I got to arrest you. You know what I mean? So we got to progressively get more enforcement type of thing.
Oh, it looks like we're obstructing this throughway for this vehicle
so
to
I'm
get
not
out
saying,
of here.
you know, like I want to jump to arrest, but there's a lot of laws.
Doesn't seem like you do. It seemed like somebody else did.
Well, you know what? I mean, to
What
be
is
honest
problem?
with you, I
It's
mean,
good
like,
Lord.
I've never met you. What's your first name? Alex. I've never met you, but when you want to talk about it on a human level, and I agree with you that we should talk to things as individuals, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't count for a car.
I know, but like ballparks will have references.
Yes. I would say that's a.
People make all kinds of.
And so we're stuck in like a rock and a hard place here because when I'm in uniform, I can't give you my right because I represent the department, and that could cost me my job. Just like anybody, if they work at Subway, they can't tell somebody, go to hell because they face the consequences, and we face the consequences too. Now, I could have a reasonable conversation with you about like, I believe that's reasonable. You know what I mean? These type of things. But with the
Well, that's kind of what I was trying to point out.
So what I'm saying is, with arresting officer, we're human, right?
Oh yeah.
And you may or may not get frustrated that the police come and talk to you just because you feel like that the police are using the law to infringe on your rights.
Well, they're not. You're not using anything.
No.
It's the fact that it even happens. It's
Right.
just annoying that the
But
law
it-
even exists, and you guys get sent down. It's
But
the
it
whole
gets,
thing is
but it gets
stupid.
frustrating for
Yeah,
you,
because there's no
right?
real problem happening.
so-
That's the thing.
And so it raises your stress level, and you
100%.
right. And so
Yeah.
we're no different.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like you said,
Oh, no,
behind
I
the
know.
uniform, we're human.
Yeah.
So we get stressed out.
Oh, yeah.
And the officer, he may have been dealing with 10 people tonight
Yeah.
that give him nothing but stress.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying this happens. Or it even
it does
happened.
happen. Oh, I
But
get it.
no, I'm not saying it happened tonight, but
Yeah.
sometimes people bear the brunt of that. And
Sure.
probably unfairly so.
Yeah.
But that's just the human nature of
Well, that was a diplomatic way of you recognizing that.
us being human, right? But I know him. He's very even keeled, right? And so some people don't like that, or some people like that. But he's very even keeled as far as explaining the law and then asking you to comply with the law, right? Other people want to talk to them and then appeal to them, and then they're like, yes, it's okay, right? And then someone complains and they got to come back and do something.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm going to apply the law to everyone equally. Like, if there was another band playing over there, we would be over there, right? It's not you guys.
That's really
I don't like
unfortunate.
a yellow van or
Yeah.
you know, it's nothing
just like when you say that though, it's like if there was another band over there, we'd be over there. It's like we're not criminals, and it's like that's the thing that you guys get used to like shut down musicians is not what you're supposed to be being used for. It really isn't. You're supposed to be stopping violent, immediate danger and crime from happening. And thank you for that when you actually do it.
Right, but-
like that's your actual job. It's not to be stopping musicians when there's no real problem.
Our job is also to,
That's dumb.
For the sake of the conversation, our job, if people are speeding down the road and being a little reckless, that's not a violent crime, but it's our job.
Oh, it's a potentially danger though to
Right, but
humans.
it's our job
There's
to
no immediate
regulate that as
danger
well.
about us just playing music. That's the thing.
I'm
And
not,
that's the difference.
when I'm
It's a real big
I'm not trying to
difference, though.
conflate traffic violations.
Well,
with
no,
what
because
you're
I don't
doing.
have a problem with those laws.
No, but
it's like, yeah.
But you seem to have implied that we're only supposed to enforce violent crime.
Well,
That's
things.
what I'm saying.
Well,
we do other
okay,
things. That's what
you're
I'm
right.
saying.
I'll qualify things that have the high potential of immediate danger or risk, or things like speeding. Obviously, it's directly connected with personal harm and injury. Just playing an instrument after 10:30 p.m. is not directly statistically associated with personal harm or injury.
And
that's what I'm saying. There's a big difference.
And I totally understand.
Thank you for that.
Like you,
because it's a basic
You
point.
playing a guitar is not going to
Yeah,
send
like an
someone to a
acoustic
hospital.
guitar, the fact that's illegal is fucking batshit
Right.
crazy. I'm
just-
sorry, it is.
I'm just saying you playing
That's
guitar
way
is
too
not going
far.
to send someone to a hospital.
Of course
I
not. It's
agree.
not going to do anything.
But
shouldn't be stopped from that at all. I want to play the djembe right now.
Right.
And I should be able to.
But to be totally honest with you, and don't take this as an insult because I'm not trying to insult
All right, good buffer.
is that whenever I stop to talk to people and enforce the law, they always want us to enforce something else other than what they're doing. And I'm not saying
That's probably true.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I stopped somebody for speeding. They're like,
Yeah.
there's people out here killing each other. It's always somebody else.
Do you think that their point is always as relevant as the one I just made, though, about instruments?
No, if we're
Thank you.
specifically talking about whether or not
Playing an instrument.
sound
'Cause, like-
is a threat to public health and safety, I agree.
I mean,
we're not talking about
am
the
I
same
playing
thing.
music right now, right? Like, technically, this is a violation. Like, that's what's crazy.
Well-
that's truly crazy.
And
And that
it's-
should not be
What's
that.
open to interpretation is the law says a musical instrument. Well, we have over the course of history, people have expanded in what's a musical instrument, right?
Yeah.
We're playing washboards, we're playing
Absolutely.
spoons, we're playing all kinds
I was
of
asking
things.
about singing. I was like, well, can I sing after 10:30? And then I think he started not wanting to answer my
Some
questions
people
at that
argue
point.
that a voice is a musical instrument, right?
Well, it's certainly personal expression.
Right,
So if I'm singing the national anthem and you arrest me after 10:30, it's a bad look.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is, what the city doesn't do is the city says a musical instrument.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they leave it up to, they kind of hang us out to dry by leaving it up to our reasonable interpretation of what the music
Yeah, that
is.
sucks for you
now,
guys.
we can all agree that a guitar and the traditional instruments are musical. Now, when you talk about a milk jug or
Sure.
a
Right.
milk jug band
Yeah.
type of thing, then it gets into like,
Yeah.
well, you have to be kind of,
Yeah.
reasonable. Now, some officers are enforcement, some not, and then it's a court up to decide one is a musical instrument or is the city ordinance too broad and they need to be more.
Thank you, and that's exactly
have a
right.
definition about
Needs
what
to be
Thank you.
narrowly tailored.
And you just nailed it, because these broad and vague laws force the discretion to be on the officer's shoulders, and that isn't fair to you, and it doesn't lead to equal protection under the law, which are
Ballpark, what's that on the decibel scale?
I don't know. I don't have a meter.
you know. And I'm not trying to give up all our court cases. You're probably recording all of this, but
I
who
am not.
cares?
I am not. We're just
Okay,
having
but
a
either way,
conversation.
we are. That's a point that the courts have made. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, you guys have sworn an oath to uphold our rights, and it has something that the courts have talked about a lot. That because we're in an ambient environment, it is more justified and reasonable that to have ourselves be heard, we match the ambient level. Since there's traffic and stuff, we're not in a residential
Like, I
neighborhood.
understand if you were just
They've
here
made a
just
recognition that
bumbling
people,
or-
there was a street preacher in Santa Cruz that had to go to court with them because they had a bullhorn, and they confirmed that, like, yes, for him to be able to be heard amongst the traffic and things, it was reasonable that he was able to express himself through amplification. So that's why when these
Where was that?
in Santa Cruz. That's why when these sweeping
California, they're a little more liberal with their laws.
Well, no, but this is
I'm not saying
it's a
whether it's right or
constitutional
wrong.
issue.
I'm not
It's a
saying
con-
whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the courts in California are a little bit more liberal in their interpretation.
But this has gone on over a lot of places, and like I have gone down the road of this, not because I've wanted to, but because we have run up into ordinances that were overly vague or broad, or just a bunch of different things that were not necessary. We watched those ordinances go and be taken away. I have a backpack.
And that's your recourse, right? To go
To a degree. Here's the problem. Let me tell you what happened.
Your only way to change the law is to go to a court to get it changed.
Well, right. Well, you mentioned the city council before when I said that, but yeah, no, it really is to just change it legally or sue the city, which is probably what's going to end up happening.
Right,
Here,
you have
because
that
going to a
option as
court
well.
is more difficult. Because here's what happens: they send you to a traffic court or something because it's some sort of moving violation, and the traffic courts and the lower courts, as an infraction citation, is an infraction or misdemeanor first ticket.
Here we're just
You don't do that.
misdemeanors.
Oh, you're straight to misdemeanor.
Well, we have Class C misdemeanors. The
It's the
traffic
same
ticket
difference.
is the same as the
Okay,
Class
it's the
C
same thing.
misdemeanor.
So
Yeah.
you go to traffic court. So basically, for whatever reason, and here's a big question mark, well, why is that? The lower courts do not want to address things at a constitutional level, and they basically just go there and go, well, you were in violation of the ordinance. And that's all they really do. And what you have to do is appeal your case.
You got to move it up.
And you have to move it up. And to do an appeals process, I don't know if you've ever gone to court personally, not as an officer, but like on a personal level, and gone through an appeals process or attempted it, it is 3 times minimum more complicated than the initial time through. You have to send things out in triplicate. It's a whole other process. It's not intuitive at all. And I was overwhelmed by the burden of it, trying to do it. And the reason I bring this up is because in my backpack, I have a laminated sheet of landmark court cases in this entire country that have gone down. Sparks, Nevada. I won't keep naming. There's quite a few on there where they were all eventually
these
found.
circuit court appeals,
These-
or they're not.
A
Supreme
couple
Court?
were supreme. These go back to basically artists that First Amendment protection in public is protected, that a sidewalk is a traditional public forum of free expression,
Okay.
and that it's also your right to make income from personal expression. That doesn't mean that sometimes that's a hinge point. So I have a bunch of these court cases that are, there's words and phrases where it's like, we do determine that blah, 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 blah. And these are just, landmark court cases. They're referenced. They don't always stand in every district, but still they're sort of used as precedent setting, right? And the thing is all of those cases now, the defendants that were initially cited were eventually exonerated, is that the right word?
I guess
Found
so.
not guilty, and found that in fact that the ordinance that had told them that they needed to get a permit or that they weren't allowed to use amplification, one of these other types of ordinances that was put into place, was in fact unconstitutional, a violation of the rights. All or almost all, I need to check the numbers, but like 90% of them out of like 20 cases were all found guilty in the lower courts first, and they had to appeal to get to that point. And so the burden of doing that is extreme, and that's a deep infrastructural issue with how we run our court system, but that is a real problem because we should, in a constitutional way. That's so important here. It's supposed to be that we have civil rights, that if there's an issue where we have vague laws or something, the lower courts that we get sent to should be willing to look at that. And they don't seem to be, and they seem to go, no, you were just in violation.
Yeah, and I don't know
And we're going
why.
to send you, and I don't know why either. And I'm not looking, I'm just kind of like just relating to you right now, because I never knew that until we started going. And it's just, it's a real daunting thing. And so when it is like, yeah, well, you can go to the courts and take care of it, we need a lawyer at this point. And you know, that's the plan basically. I won't even pretend like it's not, because this is too far.
And my experience with the lower courts is sometimes they're overly the other way. Like where clearly someone is violating the law, albeit a very minor violation, okay? And they have their right and they contest it for it, and I show up and I testify. But it's clearly within confines of law. Sometimes the courts just, and I'm not saying a jury, okay? I'm just saying, in Texas you can have a jury and you can have a judge also, no jury.
Yeah.
You can have a choice. So juries are like kind of sometimes either way, right?
Like a box of chocolates.
Well, they're not. They don't have a well-versed, idea of the law. So let's just talk to the judge. Sometimes the judges are like, "Yeah, I'm just going to dismiss it," and that's their prerogative, and it's no ill will from me to the person that I wrote the citation to. But they were clearly in violation of law. So sometimes they go the other way, where they're not just like hammering people. Sometimes they're extremely like, I don't know if you want to say understanding, or they're just like, okay, no big deal, we'll just dismiss it. Or you're guilty, and like I had a jury years ago, and you could make whether it's very violent violation of law. Jury trial, they found him guilty, and they fined him $1. Now, Texas, the fines are $1 to $500 for the Class C misdemeanors, right? And obviously it's a lot more usually geared towards the lower level, right? But they found him $1, and I'm like, well, that's their right, And so even though they found him guilty, the punishment was only $1. So, sometimes they're a lot more liberal than just hammer people. But I haven't gone through the appeals process, and I could, dare I say personally, I believe that the criminal justice system should be accessible to everyone, and we shouldn't make it so monetarily difficult for you just to appeal your rights up to a higher authority. Now, if you go all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court doesn't agree with you, you will still believe that you're right and maybe you're right so, but you have to accept the rulings.
Yeah, that's where we're at this point.
But it's the fact
Sometimes
that
they make good decisions, sometimes not. They're humans too, and as we've seen,
But what I'm saying is, you as an individual, you may be a millionaire and I have no idea. So let's take a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
He shouldn't have any more access to his appeals process and his egregious to the government over his infringement of rights, and you do.
100%.
Everyone should have equal access to it.
100%.
Now, I think the way society we put back that sometimes is these, nonprofit organizations, they're like, hey, we believe your case is a good case, we'll take that on. But they're also taking in money from other, they're not doing it for free, but they are taking money to do it. But people should have a way to regress the government.
Yeah, it's supposed to be important here.
Without financially, I don't want to say burden them, but break
Well, it
them,
is.
right?
Yeah, or just even having to be a deciding factor of like how much representation do they get or something like that.
Right.
No, absolutely not. I'm always using the example of the DMV. Anybody can walk in there and they'll just like bumper bowling you through the process and get you out the other side. In the court, they don't even give you a receipt with your date on it. They go, oh, you didn't write that down? You're like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to. And they're like, well, write it down. I was like, you can't even like just have a thing to like let people know. I couldn't believe that. There's not even a Roy C. You get that for buying a donut. It's like, you can't just have something that has the room number and the time and when the date is. It's almost like it's intentional.
No, but
it's almost like we're being disempowered intentionally.
Which document are you referring to?
Well, just when I went into arraignment one time, they were just like, okay, and your courtroom time is this, and it's in room A, and you could be there at 3 p.m. And they're like, okay, so you go, and I'm like, okay, well, do I have like, is that on something?
They just
verbally told me, and I didn't know I was supposed to be even writing it down. I mean, I can write it down, but I'm just saying, the minimal, like just to get a receipt that just has a room, like a number and a time. Even just that, it's a simple dumb point. It's not that hard to have a little ticket that you just go, here you go.
Our citations have a date, they have a time, they have an address, and a location.
Well, your tickets do, but I mean when you go in for arraignment though, and then they give you the court date and the room and the time you go to court.
Okay, I see
that they don't give. I haven't been to court here yet. And
I haven't ever been arraigned for a crime, so I don't know.
Okay, well there you go.
Comes along with that, right?
I've never been arraigned for a real crime, just having my heart out in public.
So, Yeah,
you know?
I agree. There should be some kind of written paperwork.
It's just kind of one of those dumb things. But you go, well, this doesn't seem like it's even like, that's where you start to go, this seems almost like, no, this is kind of a stacked deck.
Like since you have to not show up, right?
Well, I don't know what the reason for all this is, but it seems like it is in the business's interest that we keep all the bands and people inside. Let's make sure that we got the alcohol sales going and we get it inside the buildings, and we don't have to have culture out here where people can be around each other and actually have community building, because then maybe we start discussing problems and we're not just polarized like on the internet and all those things. And that can sound conspiratorial until you look at how effective that is, and to just corral us and more than keep us away from each other. This community canvas that we have out over here, that we just have it out and there's paint so people can paint on it. Like, we don't have to ask anybody to paint on it. It just says community canvas, and people pour over there just to be able to do something. They meet each other, they go, oh, hey, this is cool, right? Oh, you're from New York, whatever. And it's just like a meeting point. It's super healthy. Like, we need stuff like that where we're in public.
Regardless of where it was set up. But when I walked by, I thought it was interesting as well.
Yeah,
right? But,
it is. It's fun to see.
That's a separate issue from where it was set up.
I do also,
for me as a law enforcement.
I would like to see the definition as far as, like, he was very fervent that just like by having something on the sidewalk, you are inherently blocking it. I mean, there's scooters all over. Look at the scooters all over the corner.
Right. They're actually, there's a city ordinance against scooters where you can't put them to where they have to.
So those are all in violation. But they're probably not getting ticketed because they're just scooters, right?
Well,
but there's a company that's totally taking up our public sidewalks, but they're a company and they're doing it, but we can't have our stuff right there.
Like, see the scooter there that's kind of right in the crosswalk?
Yeah, look at that.
The person who put that there violated the law. Well, violated the city
But now that it's there, is the company violating the law by their personal belongings being on our public sidewalk?
My understanding is what they do is the people have to take a photo of where they left the scooter, and then that gets uploaded to their account, and if for some reason they create something, then they charge that person for violating the local.
And I'm sure that happens not that often.
And I don't know how much it happens.
Because those are just all over the place. My point is
I could take a picture of it in the correct place and then move it to the side. There's always a way around these things.
Yeah, but it's like also people can just like set something on a sidewalk. So then it becomes, well, what's the definition? How big of something can I have? So if I have luggage with me and I'm rolling it down the road, obviously I can stop, have it on the sidewalk, and like what? Is that maybe that technically is a crime? So now we're just using officer discretion to go, well, we just decide when we want to enforce that. That's a terrible law. There's nothing inherently about having something on the sidewalk that is blocking it. Blocking means blocking. Like, that's kind of what I got. Someone can't get through. Like, to just say because you have personal belongings on our own public space, we own this space. I mean, it was the natives, but at this point, it's public space. So this is our space, and we all have personal belongings. It's reasonable to have personal belongings on a sidewalk, and that is not inherently a law-violating issue. People have strollers, they have shopping carts. We have things. That's not a crime inherently. And just because they're musical instruments, it's not a crime inherently. Or it shouldn't be.
It becomes different levels, right? So let's say, for instance, I had a wheelchair, and you had your water jug. You're able to go, oh, excuse me, and you move it over. But if you had all of this stuff out here, you wouldn't easily be able to get it out of someone's way that couldn't get by.
Well, 4 feet is the American Disabilities with Act standard for the
so what I'm
place
saying
to get
is
through.
if you didn't have that, if you had set it up like that.
Well, when we had our umbrella here, it was coming out maybe to here, but there was absolutely 4 feet plus of space that they could get through. Even if you compare it to the trash can and the pull down here, there was more space than just there. So logically, let alone what the law says officially, seriously logically, we're no more blocking if we're leaving as much space as the space between over there. So to come and say we are blocking inherently because our community canvas was way back here, and then you look at that zone right there, I'm sorry, I know I'm not in court, but like, we are human beings. This is where I'm like, and when he was being, you're way, like, I don't want to say cooler, but like, you're way more willing to listen to that because this is an ongoing conversation. Because you guys, as officers, I don't know, you have some influence in city council. You send representatives in.
You're giving way too much credit.
Well, you say your piece down there, and I know that they listen to you a little bit and that's why, for him, I think it's reasonable that officers receive feedback from the community as you're doing now. Thank you, truly,
because
for doing that.
I have my opinion. I am not like a band.
It's a conversation.
Believe me, you don't want to hear me play a musical instrument.
Well, I'd encourage you.
But I'm interested in your opinion.
Thank you.
Because I should take your opinion and your feedback into the way that I enforce the law.
Well, and just to know who the community is. I'm not saying to listen to it and listen to me, but just like hear me at least. Like, you guys are protecting and serving.
And I'm listening to you.
That's part of the protection and serving.
We
I'm like,
agree on
Dad,
some points and we
can
disagree.
you listen? it's like, hey, and there should be some kind of protectivity there that I feel from you guys. And when I feel just the animosity and the criminality, and not like, oh, but he's expressing a concern about, he's saying his First Amendment rights. I'm not just out here stabbing people. That's where I get a little frustrated.
No, I understand.
You know?
Just like you were saying earlier, it's a public forum, and I believe you and I just having a discussion is a public forum.
Completely.
You're just having a discussion with someone who right now represents the government.
I'm sure the Officers Association would say, oh, we definitely are interested in feedback from the community.
Sure.
So it's like, so when I come down and I'm like, well, let me just tell you my perspective here as someone who does this and is an active member of the community, you know, and then I get shut down and I don't care about that, I don't care about that. That's not, doesn't seem in alignment with like, at least the stated directive of like the officers.
And that's why I stayed here, because ultimately with you guys, you're willing to say, we may not agree with it, but we're going to comply because we don't want to.
We don't deal with it right now.
Go deal with it right now.
Yeah.
But then your willingness to comply, the I don't want to say the reward, but if you're willing to comply, then I should take the time to listen to what you have to say, not just be like, okay, complying, I'm out of here. We should have this discussion, and that's the reason why I stay. Now, the other officers, they're not supervisors. They have to take calls. I don't.
Yeah, okay.
I have the freedom to go wherever I want and not be a slave to the radio and the calls coming in.
Gotcha.
So I have the ability to sit here and listen to you. And
I think they faked that one. I think they just wanted to get out of here.
No, I mean,
I didn't hear anything on the other end of the earpiece.
tonight we really only have 6 people.
Okay.
Not all.
Wait,
of them.
wait a second.
No,
You got more.
my shift only
Okay.
has 6 people.
Okay.
So they're supposed to go down there and go back to work. So
I get it. Well, no, and they shouldn't hang around either. They got more important things to do. That's kind of our whole point. We're really not trying to meet
Yeah, I guess.
So I can agree with you on that one. They certainly, you know, but and if for that matter, you know, we've probably spoken our piece of doom. I don't want to keep any longer either. I really appreciate you like staying and hearing from us. And you know, we are members of the community, and you might not be the last time you see us and hear from us. You know, we're gonna hit the road again for a minute, but we'll be back around here too.
But just
and
know, if you see me again, hopefully I have at least demonstrated that I'm a reasonable person.
You are.
And that even if I come back later and I have to enforce a different law,
I understand that.
because I'm not well versed
I
in this.
understand that.
But that we may disagree, but you know that I'm coming from a position of just doing my job, and I'm not personally punishing you or trying to infringe
I
on your
understand
rights.
that totally.
But the law your interpretation may be that the law is infringing rights.
Well, you're bound to that. I get it. It's your job. Like I said, you shouldn't just be picking willy-nilly what the law is and what's enforced. That was kind of the point of the vagueness. So no, I agree with that. That's why it's too much when you do have to make those decisions. Because that does immediately live to non-injury protection. Because then it's just like there's no guarantee.
It's like we
the
either
officers
do
can all be on the same page.
Everything.
That's the thing. It has to be as, like they say, narrowly tailored. Like a shirt that's tight-fitting. That's a legal term for like how the law is supposed to be no more than without the bounds of absolutely what is keeping significant government interest, aka public health and safety, in check. And beyond that, it becomes this is getting too vague, and now we have the ability for things to spiral out and people to keep getting non-equal protection. We don't want that, supposedly. This is my understanding of it. I'm not a judge, but like I'm trying to make sense of this and navigate this because I want to be able to keep doing this. I know when we come out and we have everybody except officers say, this is awesome, please keep doing it. And I have maybe hundreds of those people, and then I have a few officers, even one of whom seems semi-reluctant to be involved in it, just go, you gotta go. Well, my scale in my head and my heart is tipped a direction that I really feel compelled to continue this, and I don't want to just stop for somebody. If there was 20 people around, I'd be like, yo, we're trying to sleep, what is going on? In fact, whenever someone has come down, there's been a few times where someone's like, you know, I live in the apartment up here, how late are you guys gonna be? And we've like, look, I'm not trying to like, I'm not like, fuck you, I can be here if I want to. That's not who I am either. But like, if there's not a real problem and people are like, this is awesome, we love the community campus, I gotta like stick up for that. Not only for me, not to be all righteously doing it for everybody, but truly, it's like, we are doing something beyond just for ourselves out here, and it is super important. I believe that the depths of my soul and heart, 100%. And I don't intend to stop, and I want to do it in a way where we can continue and not just run into roadblocks. So that's why I'm trying to understand this stuff and navigate it. I'm sure we'll bring out whatever wordings on this ordinance and figure exactly what we're going to do next with this whole thing. But, you know, that's my intent, because I really don't see a good reason why we shouldn't continue. In fact, I see a lot of reasons why it should. So that's where I'm coming from. That's where we're coming from.
It seems reasonable and understandable.
I'll leave it at that.
All right.
I appreciate you for stopping.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Heck yeah.
So y'all are originally from California?
I'm here,
Oregon.
I'm from here, 3rd generation.
Okay.
My granddad was the principal of Del Valley
Damn.
I feel like, again, not to be self-righteous, but I do feel like my family has been a part of the culture here recently.
Where in Oregon? My mom used to live in Eugene. Yeah, but
Nice place, rains a lot.
Yeah, I went up there once and went to the woods and then went to the beach, and then my mom had to move back to New York to take care of my grandparents. That's why she went back, and she misses it a bunch.
Yeah, it's a nice
because they like the woods and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
upstate New York is
It's like got some
similar,
nice,
but
nice
there's no beach. There's no beach, and but
more deciduous.
Yeah.
Beautiful in the fall.
yeah, more farming than Eugene.
Yeah. What's the outskirts, Eugene?
But
I hear them. What do you?
I moved here to go to college, and we moved here when I was very young, and then I moved back to New York to go to high school, and then so I had I don't want to say my roots, but I felt like a Texan, so I was like, I'm going to come back and go to college in Texas, and then I just stayed.
Yeah, nice.
Because I've been an officer for 20 years now, but obviously I did something else before that because of getting old.
You're not that old.
I'm 50 in January.
Oh god damn, you look great for fucking 50. Hell yeah.
50 in January.
He's used to that. He's used to that.
I
You look
am.
young.
I am used
Yeah,
to it.
You
It's
look
good.
young. Yeah.
And next week I'm actually going to New York. It's my grandmother's 100th birthday.
Oh dang.
So we got something.
you're not-
in
you're
the
half-
genes.
no, you're not even halfway
I'm
there.
not even
Oh,
halfway
screw it.
there. So
Dude, if you make it 50 more years, it's going to be 2080.
Yeah.
And dude, if you don't think they're just going to slap a whole new bionic, like you'll probably go to 300 then. You ever think about
Oh, yeah.
that? Like if we get a little
I'll
far
probably
enough,
be like, what is it, Demolition Man, where they walk around?
that's scary. Can we get the
Like,
ordinances
move your-
updated
move your
before you
music
become
up.
that? Yeah, let's get those ordinances updated first. We got
Alright,
to race against
before
this
that
thing
happens.
becoming bionic.
Yeah.
All right, y'all take care.
You too.
Y'all be
Thank you,
safe.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
It was nice talking to y'all.
Yeah, what was your name?
It's Brian. My first name's Brian.
Awesome.
And
Nice to meet
Huckabee's my last name.
Alex, Joff, Simon.
Nice to meet y'all. All right, if I run into you again,
All right.
it's good to see you.
You too.
Hell yeah.
All right,
Take care. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you. Well, he did a good job taking me down.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Total bullshit.
Where's that coming from?
Well, we're playing the
Oh,
long
shit.
game tonight, so that's why we didn't want to. We're getting lawyers.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
We're getting lawyers.
Some bullshit.
Yeah.
You got a million motherfuckers on every one of these blocks playing instruments.
I know.
You got motherfuckers. You got a person who sit there when y'all ain't here. You got a motherfucker who sit right there on the sidewalk every night playing the drums. They don't fuck with him.
Yeah. Well, it's fine too. I don't have a problem with that, but yeah.
No, but I'm just saying.
No, I
they
know.
don't fuck with him.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't fuck with all these people around here that don't
There's a guy on the corner right now. Look, there's a dude.
Oh, he's on a private property easement though. Look, he's hiding in private property over there.
They pick and choose who to fuck with.
Well, we're new.
Yeah, they just pick and choose, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, but come on, man. Right, wrong is wrong. And I look at it like this. One thing is y'all.
Oh, we just got we got threatened by the cops. They said that they were gonna arrest us if we didn't shut down in 10 minutes. What happened? We're just a local band and we set up right here along this little spot. Thank you, man. I think it's dope. We had like a community painting going. We had everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother.